This is Austin Faith Dialogue, a public affairs program discussing the important crossroad of religion and life, produced by the Austin Metropolitan Ministries in cooperation with KTVC-TV. Austin Faith Dialogue highlights the interaction of the religious community with the social and cultural issues throughout our area. Now, today's edition of Austin Faith Dialogue.
It's hard to believe, but 12 months have already passed since we last looked at the year that was on Austin Faith Dialogue. Hello, I'm Roger Lotz. Normally I play a role behind the scenes as a producer on this program. Today, however, I'm your host for a half-hour tour of the highlights that here on Austin Faith Dialogue made this year, 1992, a very special one. As you can see, the set is quiet and things seem very calm here at the studios of KTVC, but looks can be deceiving. 1992 will go down as a year of turmoil and change, and our programs were a mirror to the pains of our society. These pains were especially felt in Austin's Afro-American community, following the Rodney King verdict in Los Angeles. But while we heard the voices of despair, we also found words of hope.
We have the same evils that have perplexed us for the last 100 years or so, and that is racism, poverty, and violence. They're ever before us. You still have more people that are underclass or are poor. You have individuals who are without hope as it relates to the employment situation in this country. There are enough people in our communities that are unemployed that do not report or do not call for unemployment benefits, that the government basically has discounted them as being non-existent. And these people feel that there is no way for them to become part of the system. Whenever you push individuals into that level of deprivation, you're going to get some sort of a negative or violent outbreak, because as far as they're concerned, they have nothing anyway. So I think that we are at the state right now where any event that would cause an emotional eruption could cause these individuals to stand up and be prepared to die because they already see themselves as being not alive.
Mm-hmm. A lot of our folks cross the Red Sea, which is I-35, and come back to East Austin to church. We have in our church people who live all over Austin. And I think that that can be the gathering point. It was when people lived out in rural areas, everybody dressed up and drove miles to church. We had to build our own churches. We sustained our own churches. Our churches reached out and built our colleges. Our churches reached out and built our hospitals, and it was because of the fact that nobody else was doing it for us. And I suspect that if the church is going to recapture its mission, it has, first of all, to identify a sense of community. That people, once they come to church, and they do come to church, they don't just as soon as the sermon is over or the collection plate is passed, go back to their communities. There has to be something that pulls them in the name of their faith, back to church on other than 11 o'clock Sunday morning.
One incident that the nation has been shaken up by is the echoes of racial violence in South Central Los Angeles from the outcome of the Rodney King verdict. The verdict has been a result of pain and suffering that has caused the community to backlash and has cost them a decent neighborhood to live in. The damage to the city's community ranged from the burning down of buildings to the looting of markets. Some appalling scenes that were even more difficult to apprehend were people being dragged out of their cars and beaten. The people that live in this community, especially the elderly and children, will suffer, since many people are now unemployed because their workplaces have been destroyed. There also has been a lack of food and gas since the markets are gone. The recovery process will take many years, but at least the cleanup has begun. In fact, people have started taking the initiative to go and give their services while the city is trying to heal. This is agape being reflected through good works. As 2 James verse 26 says, faith without works is dead.
Another major problem facing Austin is the problem of gangs and youth at risk. In the past, we talked to experts in our studio. This year, we went out and talked to the youth affected by the problem. We discovered a program designed to make a difference. We met a former gang member who has found a new life, thanks to the work of a very special woman trying to find answers for youth at risk. It may be that the answer to the gang problem lies here, in the church. 3 years ago at the San Jose Catholic Church, Cindy Martinez began a ministry that gives gang members a place to go, a place to really find themselves without the pressures or intimidation of the gang culture. It's called the Youth Outreach Gang Intervention Program. Martinez's program now calls the Parker Lane Methodist Church its home. This Austin-based church, located just east of IH-35, has allowed Martinez's program to grow by reaching out to gang members of all denominations and to the many young people in gangs who have no real religious ties. Today, the Youth Outreach Gang Intervention Program, through weekly streetwise meetings, helps about 70 gang members, but the mission is still the same, helping young people get out of gangs.
Most youth today, if you talk about church or you talk about your involvement in church, right away they question you as holy roller, too good, Mrs. Goodish, you know, wants to be better than me. But yet, somewhere in their life, as children, growing up, someone has told them about God or about church. So there's that hope. They're hoping that that's going to be something to cling on to. Because once they do get involved, once they do give it a chance, they see, hey, there is something here. There's something good here. It's no more of, oh, it's just going to make us pray and kneel on our knees all day and all night. Because that's how they vision church. They don't, now they're able to see it as just people coming together. Because I tell them the church is just a building. It's us. It's the community. It's all of us together that make it church. And what makes it church is with us getting involved and caring and loving each other.
One of Cindy's success stories is Jaime Rojas. His story of living life in a gang is very chilling. He now also speaks with pride of his new life, a life changed due to his participation in Cindy Martinez's program.
I was considered youth at risk. I mean, because my involvement was so high in all these things that nobody thought I would make it. But I just turned it around after one incident happened, and it shouldn't have had to happen, you know, for me to change. Was my friend passing away. And at that point, I saw that I needed to make a change and turn it around. And I was also still praying every day, you know, daily, and being with Street Wise to, you know, how I'm going to get ahead and what I need to do to prepare for that. And all that's helped me accomplish many things that I've got now. When I was involved in dealing drugs, I was making $1,000 a day, and with a friend of mine. And in doing so, it was just the jet set life. Always doing whatever you wanted to, having money just for whatever, you know, whatever reasons. And not really realizing, you know, how much money I had. If I would put it away or deal with it in a right manner, I'd have a lot more now. And putting savings or something. Now I'm working in, you know, two-week job, you know, get paid every 2 weeks, making $150. And it's weird, and I sometimes think, well, golly, I can do that in 5 minutes. Yeah, but the point is I'm learning responsibility by getting in work on time, getting out of work, you know, cleaning up, being, you know, a good person, and not hurting others by selling drugs.
But the program may now be at a crossroads. Martinez wants to see her program grow into a resource center that could provide services such as counseling, food, and even clothing 24 hours a day. But while Martinez wants to see her program grow, she also realizes that her main mission to help gang members will always be difficult.
Right now, this youth at risk is scary. People are afraid of it. You know, look at the shootings that are happening. Look at the drugs that are in the schools, the guns that are in the schools. You know, yeah, people say, I want to help, I want to do my part, but I don't know if I want to go that far. Maybe if I just stay home and send some money, that's my part, but it's not that. It's a matter of us going out there and saying, hey, I do care. This is my street, this is my home, this is my school, and we're going to go out there and do something about it.
Education, we are told, may be the key that will unlock the solutions to many of society's current problems. From the beginning of this program, we have always looked at the issue of education. This year was no different.
My upbringing, my mother was the primary factor in my life, and through her, I mean, we've achieved many things, and that's what I want to put into Alex, and hopefully he'll achieve as much as he can.
It's pretty strong motivation.
Mm-hmm.
What do you say, Alex?
that she really helped me a lot with problems when I had problems. And then if I have problems with my homework, when she comes, we work on it sometimes. Or if I don't have problems with my homework, we just talk it over. Or we just go down and eat lunch together, and talk about how's my mom and how's my dad, and what I've been doing lately.
Sometimes schools are intimidating. Sometimes schools put programs at times that working parents can't come. So I think schools have to be as creative as they can to be flexible to meet the needs of students and to create an environment that is hospitable and non-threatening. That may mean bilingual presentations as well as Spanish presentations as well as English presentations. So there are lots of things that good parental involvement programs can do to help parents become involved, including home visitations in targeted ways.
And as we move forward, we come to child care. And there it's a question of quantity and quality. And quality has many subheadings. We need to expand Head Start tremendously. And there are many very fine child care centers that need to expand their services in our area. We also need to have wraparound services and good, smooth transition from child care and from the home into the schools. And so we've proposed work with the schools for school-based health care centers, various types of wraparound services such that children are not on the streets after school without care.
Okay, this is while they're in school, all right, early school.
And definitely superb parenting education for all parents in our community from birth on through the school years, with the schools playing a fundamentally important role.
We're going to pause for just a moment and take a break. When we come back on Austin Faith Dialogue, we'll continue our look back at the year that was with a look at some of the courageous people we met and listen to some of the sweet sounds of music that were heard on this program. Please stay with us.
Serving Austin means serving you. That has always been the primary goal of Austin Metropolitan Ministries. We are religion in action through the work of these organizations. Each plays a key role in making the capital city a better place to live, but we can't do it alone. Do you have some spare time, talents, or any resources that you can share? If you do, please call AMM at 472-7627, because serving Austin means serving you.
It is amazing the courageous people you meet on this program. They are people trying to live ordinary lives. This year we met two such people trying to fight the odds and overcome. We met these people covering the topics of child abuse and AIDS. Their stories were powerful, but most importantly, we learned from them that the best way to help a person is to be there for them.
I've always felt inside of me that I would be very embarrassed to tell anyone if this ever happened to me. It's much like, I would say maybe like rape victims go through, because it's more of a personal thing. It's an attack on you. Even though I realized today that I was the victim, at that time I thought I was doing things wrong to deserve it. But today I realize that no, I think that's what helped me get beyond abuse. And when I met my husband Dwight, we did a lot of talking, and one of the things that was most difficult for me was to learn to trust someone and to be able to tell my story to someone.
I've been Episcopalian all my life, and when going to St. George's, it is a wonderful environment. They have a very welcoming environment for anybody who is infected or affected by HIV to come and worship and have their needs met, whatever they are. And every church in this country should be doing this, and anything less is just unacceptable. And I had a very bad experience early on in my diagnosis, and this was not with an Episcopal church, it was just another church where I went. It was a young congregation. I made friends with a couple there, and as this young woman that Bob had spoke of, I was afraid to share this part of my life because I didn't know what people were going to do. I mean, the things that I had experienced had already, some of them had hurt. And so some time went by, And then I made friends with this woman, and I did share with her all the issues about my life and what was going on, and she went back to the elders of the church, and they asked me not to come back. They were afraid, and they were afraid for my children, my son. They were afraid that he would have it. He was in the nursery, and nobody wanted their kids in the nursery, and I offered them education. I had pamphlets and all the knowledge to offer them. And
they asked you to leave?
Yes, and they never ever chose to be educated. And my comment was, you know, it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when somebody in your church is affected by this. And what are you going to do? Are you going to do this to everybody? We're supposed to serve Jesus Christ in all persons, not just the people who aren't HIV positive. It's not printed like that.
Since the name of this program is Austin Faith Dialogue, you can understand how the topic of the capital city's religious community may come up from time to time. In 1992, we not only looked at the religious dialogue and the future of religious diversification in Austin, but the city's religious history. We looked at the controversy surrounding the issue of sex in the church. But most important, we looked at how religion is bringing people together to make a positive impact in Austin.
One of the ones that stands out in my mind was an evening that was planned where Jews sat together and made lists of stereotypes that we have about ourselves and that we think that other people have about Jews. And Christians did the same thing. They made a list of things.
About Jews?
No, about Christians. What other people think about Christians and what different Christian denominations think about other denominations. And then we shared those. And it was wonderful evening, a lot of learning.
There's not much difference from what we have perceived in the Episcopal Church to be going on. We've had some of the same kinds of dialogue. A lot of it has turned into heated debate. A lot of it has turned into polarization of sides, when I really believe that everyone in their heart wants desperately to come to some deeper understanding of human sexuality and its relationship to us as Christians. The problem is, as Bob put it so very well, is that it is a very complex issue. It's not a black and white issue. And I think that like many complex issues, it becomes very threatening to individuals. And as a result of that threat, folks so often want a definitive answer. They want a black and white statement that they can hold to and cling to and say, this is the truth, and everything else is wrong. And in any aspect of human life, I don't think that's easy to come to, whether it's sexuality or anything else.
It's not really to represent any agenda. There's no big ministry personality that's leading this thing up. It's just the people. I remember Nehemiah in the Bible, when he had that concern for his city that was destroyed, and he had that longing in his heart to see it rebuilt. And I sense that type of spirit in the people, Christians of all denominations, because they're under one Lord. And they're just excited about coming together, and I think it's a preparation for the return.
Austin Metropolitan Ministries is a group of concerned individuals who live out their faith tradition in many ways. In Austin Metropolitan Ministries, they do it by joining together to focus on issues that the community needs to have addressed.
The greatest satisfaction I get daily is to see a person or a congregation which has really never worked beyond its own congregation before, to step out of that, to work with people from other faith traditions and see the excitement of what that can mean, and to see the excitement that can come from dealing with serious problems affecting our community. It's a great thrill to see that.
If we really believe that we're reconciled, then we need to start living like it, and we need to start acting like it. And the first part of acting like it is to talk to each other, to visit with each other, and get to know each other.
We need to involve our membership and all their members of each faith congregation in the activities of Austin Metropolitan Ministries. I participate in the Jewish-Christian Relations Group, and that's an opportunity for people to explore stereotypes that they might have held about other faith groups and about themselves. And we are in the business of building bridges so that if we ever need to cross them, they're already in place.
Austin's Convention Center
It's been 10 years in the making, and it's an important part of the city's downtown revitalization. A revitalization that will make Austin a city not only for the 90s, but beyond the year 2000. This new convention center is just the latest ingredient in a special mix that keeps Austin so richly diversified. Austin's religious community has played a big part in the making of this heritage, but now faces a new challenge, helping all of Austin make the leap into the 21st century. However, to look at our future, we first should look at our past. The first European people to discover this land we now know as Austin were Franciscan friars. They established a temporary mission near Barton Springs in what is today's Zilker Park in the early 18th century. They scarcely could have imagined the steel, the concrete, and the glass towers that now rise above the Colorado River and create the Austin skyline.
Last but not least, we have always had a soft spot for the arts on Austin Faith Dialogue. From music to art museums, from sculptures to art shows. We made the cultural rounds in Austin this year, and in the process, we discovered what a special cultural treasure this city truly is.
Many organizations like this do similar things, but I did come to this museum because of the energy I saw here, the quality of these sort of programs, the belief, as Judith was just saying, about the creative abilities in all of us. Truly, education is central to everything we do. It's about experiencing the art, doing the art, looking and thinking about it in a way that is non-threatening. It is nurturing. I think that's an excellent word. The future needs creative problem solvers. I think that's something that I see every day in the news. We need creative problem solvers, life givers, people who feel that. And I think the arts are integral to that, and will help to bring that about in Austin as well as the broader community.
But it's interesting, you talk about people's conceptions of religious art. I mean, people think in terms of what the Renaissance paintings, and now looking back that we see these religious subjects in the context of, you know, the people wearing clothes, but they were wearing Renaissance clothes in those paintings. So the artist took that story and put it in a contemporary context. And I think that's what many Christian artists would be attempting to do today, but people don't understand that. Well, if it's in the contemporary context, they become offended by it.
wandered so aimless, life filled with sin. I couldn't let my dear Savior in. Then Jesus came like a stranger in the night. Praise the Lord, I saw the light. I saw the light, I saw the light. No more darkness, no more night. Now I'm so happy, no sorrow in sight. Praise the Lord, I saw the light. Well, that's one by Luke the Drifter, sometimes known as Hank Williams. Let's just do a little medley here. This is one that I learned as a child going to the Methodist church.